It's true, to invest in a property like this, you are going to need time, money, and knowledge. But have you ever thought about how much or what for? So let's start with money. For a £100,000 house, it's typically going to need for a deposit somewhere in the region of 25 to 30%, so £25,000 to £30,000. You're also going to need to pay for a solicitor for the conveyancing, anywhere between £1,000 and £1,500. If it is a second property, an investment property, it's likely going to attract higher rates of stamp duty land tax, in this case about 3%, so £3,000, which by the way, it is possible in some circumstances to claim back, which we have done successfully, and I do have a video coming up on that, so hit subscribe if you're interested. The other thing of course you're going to need is a survey, and I'd highly recommend you consider a RICS survey for purposes I can't explain just here, just now. But do get a survey and also put some money aside for insurance, somewhere between £250 and £300 should be about right. And have a contingency, which should be about 5% of the spend so far. That contingency is for things like extra surveys that you may not have anticipated. Let me give you just 3 examples from our own property investing journey. We have had surveys that's come back and said, just check the drains. So we've gone and had a CCTV survey. We've had a survey that's come back and says, because of the age of the property, I recommend you have an asbestos survey, which we've done, which we've had problems with asbestos and need to be sorted. And just because of this thing here, I recommend you get a structural surveyor out and look at the implications for this, which we've done. So always have a contingency, 5% of the spend so far should be about right. And that should definitely be separate to the general 10% contingency you hold back for whatever size of pot you're starting with. Don't invest all of it. Yes, I understand we don't want to hold on to cash, we want cash flow, but don't think you've got all this money, just invest it all. It's a good idea to keep 10% back for general liquidity purposes. So all in all, for a £100,000 property, you're going to need somewhere between £28,000 and £41,000, which of course doesn't include any money you might do for a refurbishment, and money required for the duration in which you hold that property during the refurbishment while it's not tenanted. So how much time do you need to invest in property? And the answer is somewhere between 5 and 8 hours based upon the following activities. The first thing you want to make sure you do every single day for about 4 weeks is go on the portals, particularly Rightmove and Zoopla, do create your own account and just observe what comes onto the market. Observe what type of property comes onto the market most frequently, observe the type of price points that they come on at, observe how quickly it takes to move for sale to sold subject to contract, and take note of any properties that you think might just need a refurbishment. Save anything that's of interest, because about 50% of the properties that come onto the market with an estate agent don't actually end up being sold, they go off the market. That means if you go onto Rightmove and Zoopla and type the postcode of the property in, you're not going to be able to find it because it's come off the market. However, if you have saved that advert, then you will still have access to it in your own account. It will be greyed out, but you will be able to see it still. That means when a property comes back onto the market, perhaps in 4 weeks' time, most likely with an agent, you can spot that because you can see what it came on for, what it looked like, the condition of the property, and so on. Make sure you are saving properties that you think are interesting. Spend about no more than 20 to 30 minutes a day, but do it daily for about 4 weeks. It's a classic game of spot the difference. Also, as well as spending time on the portals, spend some time walking your local area. An hour and a half, 2 hours a week will be just fine. What you're really looking for is an area that's about a 3, that sits in between a 1 that's really poor and 10 that's really expensive. And then once you find properties that are of interest to you, spend about 15 minutes a week quickly picking up the phone to the local agent and booking in your viewings. There's no point spending time on the portals to not go and book your viewings. But I would suggest to you, you pick up the phone and you explain the property you are interested in, followed by this question: do you know the one? Because the last thing you want to do is talk about the property and why you're interested in it and when you'd like to see it. You pause for a breath, only for Janet in Lettings to say, I'll pass you over to sales. So spend some time, 15 minutes or so, making sure you're booking your viewings to go on the viewings, and then attend your viewings every single week. Do that repeatedly. Over a 4-week period, viewing properties, agents will start to recognise you and you'll start to strike up a bit of a rapport with them. Go and do your viewings, do them very carefully. If you're interested in sourcing properties and you don't know quite what you're doing and you don't know how to do your viewings, your inspections, or price up costs of potential refurbishments, we have an incredible sourcing program that's coming out very shortly, and we're looking for some people to beta test it at an incredible price. Stay tuned to subsequent videos, I'll tell you more as they get released. And the final thing you want to do after your viewings, at the end of the week, you might want to do at the end of the day, is journal your thoughts. Just write down what you're thinking about, write down what you've observed, write down any patterns you might have spotted, and particularly write down your questions. Make sure your questions are really individual on their own. So a question I often get asked is, Josh, how do I know if this property is going to be worth it or not? Well, what's the end value going to be? I'm not sure. How much is the refurb going to cost? I don't know. In fact, Josh, I don't know how to cost up a refurbishment. So what I'm saying to you is every question nearly always have a set of sub-questions underneath it. Be very precise and concise with your questions. The better your questions, the better someone else is able to give you answers. All in all, doing all this activity should take you somewhere between 5 and 8 hours a week. And it's by doing this activity that you build your knowledge. That's how you build your knowledge. If you'd like any more help with this, please stay tuned to subsequent videos. You may well be the perfect fit to beta test our sourcing program. That's it for this one. I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one, where I'm going to walk you through a diagnostic tool to help you understand whether you are actually ready to invest in property or not.